Hi, my name is Michael Pena, and for my project for CPE 302, I decided to do a tic-tac-toe game. So, for this project, I decided to go ahead and do a simple tic-tac-toe game as I am only one person, so I was thinking that game would be really easy to do, and since I went forward with that, I had to go ahead and think of two things. One was to do the game logic for tic-tac-toe. The second was to do the display for tic-tac-toe. And when doing this project for the last month and a half, it has been very difficult and it has been very hard. There's been a lot of bugs and a lot of glitches that I did not foresee. So, as stated, I made a simple tic-tac-toe game using the DE2 board, DE215 board. So, when I was thinking about this, I had to go ahead and think, well, let me split it up. Let me do the game logic first, then I'll go ahead and do the display. And then after that, I'll go ahead and merge the two together so that when it comes out, it'll be the full tic-tac-toe game. So, I had to first get started with the game logic. So, like everyone knows how to do, for regular tic-tac-toe, you just have it so that whoever gets either the first row or first column or diagonal wins the game. So, what I first had to do was think, what inputs do I want to use? So, when going over with it, I decided to use the switches right here and then use these two buttons right here. So, once I had that figured out, I then had to figure out, well, which switches are going to go where. I decided that switch 0 and switch 2 would be the top row right here. Switch 0 being the top left, and then switch 2, of course, being top right, meaning that switch 1 would be middle. And I did that again for switch 3 to switch 5, and then switch 6 to switch 8. When that is done, I then had to go ahead and figure out the win conditions and then how would I get the game to be over. With that, I had to go ahead and figure out, well, I had to make it so that once these rows or these columns were filled, the game would be over. I did not want to do the diagonals yet, that would come later. I just wanted to make sure that this worked first. So, after many days and many hours, I was finally able to get these to work perfectly, where when you flip this up and you hit the confirm button, the light will light up, meaning that that was filled. And once I was able to do that, then the game worked. So I had it so that X goes first, and then O goes second. And so after confirming all of that, I decided I would also add a reset button. What the reset button would do is it would go ahead and make it so that the game would be over, and then it would go ahead and reset the whole game again, so then you can play it once again. So, after I was finally able to get the game logic to work perfectly fine, I then had to figure out the display. Now, the display was the hardest thing to do because it had so many visual bugs, it had so many other bugs to work off, and it was one of the hardest things to do, especially since during that time we didn't start the displays yet, so I had to go ahead and figure some of that out on my own. So, what was wrong with the display? Well, first, the very easiest part was the grid, as you can see right here. It was very easy to do. After some hours of messing around with it, I was finally able to get the grid to work perfectly, where it's just white lines right here. Now the hardest part was the X and the O's. Now, I was finally able to make an X perfect, and I decided to make the X red. I was finally able to make the O's perfect, and I got the O's to be green. The real issue was both, one, the positioning, and then two, having them actually stay on the screen. So, the first problem was that when I was doing it the first time and putting my game logic into it, when I flipped switch 0 and then pressed the confirm, I thought, oh, it's gonna go to the top right here. No, it went to the middle. And then switch 1 went here. Switch 2 did nothing. Switch 3 then had it right here. So I had to figure out what is going on. So I had to dig through the code and I had to figure out why it was not working. And then when that was happening, I also figured out the X disappeared after the O made the turn and vice versa. So I had to figure out two things. First, how to make the X and O stay. And second, fix the positioning so that X and O's are supposed to be where they're supposed to be. So what I did was I hard-coded the X and the O's just to make sure it all works. After that, when that was finally done, I was able to go ahead and make it. So I was able to fix the positioning so that it all worked. That was the hardest part. It took a lot of effort. I had some people in the lab help me out with that too. Now, with all that explained, I was able to merge the two together. And now, I'll go ahead and show you the game. So, how to start. X, as I said, it always goes first. So, when I flip this switch and press this right here, as you can see, the X appears. Now, it's O's turn, but you have to flip this switch down since this X is occupying it. So let me make it so that O goes below it. And as you can see, O appears. Now, I'll go ahead and make it so that X gets the top row. And as you can see, X was the winner. And I also decided later on to make it so that it displays right here that X was, of course, the winner. Now, if I flip the switches, you see nothing happens because the win signal was sent, and so therefore the game over signal was also sent, meaning that the game's frozen and it will not work until you hit the reset button right here. With that done, I will now make it so that O is the winner. And as you can see, there's some bugs with it a little bit. We'll get onto that later. So with that, I'll have to reset it. But with that, you can now see O is the winner, as O has been here for the columns. Now I'll go ahead and make it work diagonally. This time I'll make it so that X is the winner. And as you can see, it also works diagonally. It took me a couple tries to get that to work, but now as you can see, X is now the winner as well. And as I stated before, no matter how many times I go ahead and press it, it's not gonna work. Now, oh, it's a little finicky. I didn't mean to press it like that. But now, let's go ahead and talk about the errors. And there's a lot of bugs, but overall, I was finally able to get it to work with a bunch of people helping me along with that. There was a lot of bugs, as you saw in the example. Sometimes the button wouldn't work correctly, so it would, unfortunately, sometimes it would either skip the person's turn or will make it so that it doesn't appear anymore. But overall, I was finally able to get those things to work, and I was able to get this game of Tic-Tac-Toe working. Any improvements? Maybe make it so that it can become single player, but for right now you need 2 people to play this. Again, my name is Michael Pena. Thank you. Well, with that all said and done, thank you so much for watching. My name again is Michael Pena. This again was my CPE 302 final project, And thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.